a big cabinet of 200 kilograms from the wall. So it's big energy. So I just extract, but it's a real sound recording at that date. It's just put on digital file, but there is no filtration, nothing. And we clearly hear the blows on which was done on this bedpost. And we record it with two mics, and I make some work on the signature. So the global project is an ongoing project, so many things are not done in it. The initial focus was on Poltergeist, so it's why we are pretty complete on this today, even if we will add some other Poltergeist case. For example, Paul Copper, we are working about 400 more cases to add in it, but 1,300 cases worldwide. But some areas are more strong than others, and we'll see that in more detail. So this is typically the number of cases per country, maybe frustration energy or what you want, is opens some kind of door, and some non-physical energy is able to go inside and make some stuff. And when the agent is in better shape psychologically, finally this door closes and there is no more effect. First, thank you for inviting me, Christian and Caroline. I'm very happy to be able to present some case and some our new database online, so people can use it. So yes, I will start by the first question. So why I'm here? So why this conference? In fact, sorry, I have to get up the screen. Okay. First, I was very interested since early age by parapsychology and the connection between parapsychology and science. But after I start to work and things go on, and then I have a friend in 1983 who knows that I was interested by this kind of topics, who comes to me and say, "Hey, I have some typical very bizarre events, and I'm sure that you would be interested by it." And he explained me, and clearly I say, "Wow, it looked like things like Poltergeist." At that time, we have some books, and so we know a bit about that. And so he has already 4 or 5 sessions in this little house in the east region of France, so Savoie, with very nice cheese. And he organized to make a trip on this house, and so I have a very nice event, and I will come on this just after. So I have really an experience of Poltergeist with apport and with many things. Second things, I was interested by parapsychology, and in 2014 I come back to the PK. So I try to make some training with Jean-Pierre Girard, who is a very known PK guy in France about metal bending. And in fact, I start to work with LAPDC, which is a lab in France, virtual lab. And with people on internet, we try to make some work around psychokinesis. So, and my objective was to make some scientific experiment and be able to, if we have some result, to make some paper about that and so forth. So that was what we've done since 2014. We make some paper on the GSE and PA and different things and different conferences in different parts of the world. So that was the second phase. the PK, and the third was to say, hey, psychokinesis, okay, but what's the story about that? So because when we talk about poltergeist, some people talk about recurrent spontaneous psychokinesis, RSPK. And so what's the story about that? And so I make a big work about to document and make a repository work on about globally the MacroPK, so poltergeist events, physical mediumships, mystics, and all the people who are work on this. And that's the stories of the site macropk.org. So if I come back, and which objective is to have an online repository, free access, so we can really capitalize information about all these topics. So if I come back to the story about in 1983, so very quickly there was five sessions, so 5 events, 5 dates. So August and September, a total of 9 witnesses. And it was very simple about house. There is two rooms, maybe we can see here. So you have one kitchen, would say kitchen dining room, which is here. If the entry door is here, the garden is here. And there is just a door here, and here is a room where you have only two big bed, 140 bed, I would say, and a bed camp here between. And that's all. So it was very, very short house. And in fact, what I typically experience myself in this area from 0 p.m. to 5 p.m. We have the ceiling, the lamp of the ceiling, which was rotating above us. We have a crescendo blows to the bedpost, the wraps, and materialization, teleportation of different objects like stone, saucer, which were so the saucer were in the kitchen. The door was closed, and we get the saucer in the room. We have egg cup, porcelain fuse, flower, syringe, and movement during these events. There is other events coming here where there is no people, like a kerosene lamp moving up and a knife, which go in some tomatoes. So it was pretty a good case. So I make on site. We were in 1983, so there was no smartphone. But as my friend make description of the case, I came with my tape recorder, my old tape recorder, and with a notebook, and I write all the events, so on 15 page, and all people sign at the end what happened, and I try to report the different position of the people in the room and so forth, and we make the full record of the event. So I had not the time, I think, today to go through all the detail of this event, but it's just to illustrate why I'm interested by poltergeist. So there is the detail of different events that happens during the different session. I will go directly on the one where I was. So this was the table. There was a table inside the room, and there was the 2 mic here, and the bedpost was here, so we are less than 1 meter from the bedpost. And here is, for example, here it was a gin, and a saucer directly dropped on the gin. And here it was a key which was dropped directly on the table from above. So in September 7, when I was there was a port and drop of a pebble in the room while everyone was watching. We make all the recording of the dialogue and the wood creaking, and we hear that. There was a teleportation of objects, as I already mentioned, upside down shells. And we make some exchange of people to be able to detect if there is some kind of agent. And clearly we identify an agent, which was a cousin of my friend. And when they go in the car, which was outside the house, something happened in the car and nothing was happening in the room. So very quickly. And so here I have some the original sound. You hear it?
Yes.
So it's a crescendo. So I just extract, but it's a real sound recording at that date. It's just put on digital file, but there is no filtration, nothing. And we clearly hear the blows on which was done on this bedpost. And we record it with two mics, and I make some work on the signature and find that it was coherent with what Barry Colvin had found before. And also I make some experiment around to check if there is no like amortization of the sound and so forth, but I don't think we have time to go all around that, but we can discuss later. Okay, sorry. Oh, okay, so yeah, so the results was that we have a sound recording of, and we have the record of all the dialogue during all the night. We try to reproduce the same sound by knocking on the bedpost. We try to be able to move the lamp around, and we are not able to do the same thing. We try to hear the sound coming from a saucer falling down on the gin, and we recorded it was the same sound as it was dropping from 1 or 2 meters. And so we identified a poltergeist agent in this. And shamelessly, we stopped the investigation because it was the people was very afraid about that. There was the father of the agents, so it was not so easy. But last year we success to make a meeting with all the witnesses, and we were able to confirm and validate all what we live and experiment, and we were able to add some information of the case. So it's why I was interested by poltergeist. To sum up, so coming from that, the question was to say, are we able to make some kind of poltergeist database? So if we look to the poltergeist analysis, which was done on historical, there was many people who have worked on that, but I will make a very quick sum up. So there is some kind of case collections. So many people like Pulse in Germany, Flammarion in France, Cox in UK, Mother in Germany, Tisane in France, Bozzano in Italy. So many people make some collection of case. Some people make some quantitative studies, like Zorab, Cox, Roll in the US, Hussman and Shriver in Germany, and Gall and Cornell in UK. Because they make the biggest work about it, because it was 500 cases and ending in 1975. And recent studies, which are less intense about quantitative, but are more qualitative, with specific cases like, I'm sure you know very well, Darren Wilson with South Shields, for example, and all people who are working about William and Vantola, who work more about the transliminality around the agent approach, and Healy and Cooper work on the Australian case, for example. But the problem was, how do we do that? We don't have any digital repository. And so I decided to make this. So first I contact Alan Gold, because I wanted to see if as they have studied 500 cases, if they're able to have some kind of sum up of file or something like that. But when I discussed with him, he just told me that at that time they only have punch card computers, so they don't have file, nothing. And so I have to take the book and make some kind of digitalization of it. So it was a bit hard. So then we work with many other sources. The interest of Gall and Cornell that they have detailed source. They have the 63 parameters to define the phenomenology of the case, and they have some kind of level of testimony or detail. So we are able to evaluate the the level of proof of the case, I would say. So we work with 800 other cases. So case from Italy, case from books, phrase from people from Australia, and so with that we are able to make a database with 1,300 cases worldwide, but some areas are more strong than others, and we'll see that in more detail. So this is typically the number of cases per country. So if we mixed United Kingdom, UK and Scotland, because this is a bit an error because Scotland is part of UK, but we work on Jeff Holder books and some are moving on Scotland name for the country. But if we add the two, UK is the winner about the number of cases because you are moved at 280 cases in UK. So you see that the different country concerned. So very quickly we are outside of Europe and America. There is less case, and that's what we work with Paul Cropper to have many Asian cases. So if we look to the phenomenology, so to go on what Caroline has presented last week. The first is to how we characterize each case. So the location, the date, the duration, and a detailed phenomenology. So we use the parameters of Gold and Cornell, and we make some extension to include new parameters, like, for example, the phone, texto, the contagion, which was not discussed at the time of Gold, focus area, soon recording, etc. And we keep the level of testimonial and detail, which we find it interesting to use to select case. So if we look in our database, in fact, so we have 93 parameters. And so you can see, just make an extract of some. For example, about agents, male agent, female agent, agent under 20 years, is a case associated with a place. Is there, for example, appearance of shadows, coin apports, etc. So we have 93 parameters to identify the different events that happens during the case. And we try to summarize this. So the database has 93 different phenomenology parameters, but to work on it, it's interesting to make some grouping. And so, for example, we have made this kind of grouping. For example, which is a high energy, so it's moving heavy object, is able to checking walls, people are thrown from their bed, so it's high energy stuff. We have some aggression, so aggression is also grouping different kind of aggressions, like stigmata, pulling of bed, blows, etc. Materialization, so all things which are about teleportation, apport, disapport, bizarre trajectories, or high precision stuff, like in Nottingham, communication, etc. So you see that there is all these different parameters which are grouping, and we have a occurrence. So on more than 100 cases, this is the percentage of occurrence of each of these things. And to connect with what Caroline presented last week, she proposed she make a reported sign diap, and so I have just put on it the percentage that we have in our database of each of these signs. So you can see that, for example, if we talk about waters, 6% of the case have some kind of waters or inundations events. About voices, in fact, here we group two things. All the knocks and voice that I've put Caroline, for us, it's all other noise except the raps. So you see that there are 40% of the cases that have other noise. And you have close to 30% of case with apportation. So to all this, which is apportation, apport, disapport, so object disappearing, reappearing, etc. Bad smell also 3%, electronic interference 8%, and so you see that fire 20%, 12%. So this is for the phenomenology global. So if you want to have more detail about that, you can go directly on the site of ResearchGate, and you can see a detailed phenomenology of poltergeist events. This paper was built using more than 100 cases, which are used, cited with their sources, and also with extract of either books or article. So you could have a very detailed vision of all the events that we have collected, that are able to be collected in the story of poltergeist. So now I will move forward on the online collaborative project MacroPK. The idea is to consolidate the data concerning MacroPK events and give free access to people to that. So the site is macropk.org, and the idea is to consolidate either spontaneous cases like poltergeist, physical mediumships, mystical events. So we put this in also because we think that levitation, for example, we can look at this at MacroPK, and also all experimentation, which has been done on MacroPK. So here, for example, it's Jean-Pierre Girard in Delta Building. And also have in the database all the people which are work on this or who are working on this at now. So the general database is you have the poltergeist case, you have psychic agents, which are either mediumship or mystics. You have all the experimentation and all the researchers in the field and connection between these data. So about the site, so we will go on the site just after, and we look directly about the research functions. So about the research functions, we will look on the poltergeist first, because that's why the main interest of the audience, and how we can make some search. And so if you want, you can go. I will make the live presentation, but if you want, you can also directly go on macropk.org and try to do the same than what I am doing. So I will change of screen. So here we are on the macropk.org site. So you can find here what I have talking about. So poltergeist part. Medium physics, sorry, maybe it's better to switch in English. Okay. So we have poltergeist part, physical mediumship part, mystics, experimentation. Inside there is a searcher database and theory. So the global project is an ongoing project. So many things are not done in it. The initial focus was on poltergeist, so it's why we are pretty complete on this today. Even if we will add some other poltergeist case, for example, Paul Copper, we are working about 400 more cases to add in it. But currently, I can show you many things you can do with it. So first we have a phenomenology, so you can find this directly a summary of phenomenology and detailed analysis. And this is for the database and searching. So if we want to go directly on the search, so you have an explanation of search mode if you want to know more about it, how to use it. And we'll go directly here, for example. So if I go to simple search, I can directly, for example, put a country. So United Kingdom. And for example, search for a certain period, for example, after 1950. and you launch search. And then you are here. I'm sorry, I exit this here. So you have 115 cases in UK since 1980, 50, sorry. And you can find a different case, so the source of each case, the city. You can, if you want, directly sort by, here it's by default, it's sort by date. But you can decide to sort by level of testimonial, for example, here. So this is the biggest case with the best level of detail and information. For example, this is the south side of Darren Wilson. After you have the other one, which was I think it was Enfield, and then you have another one in Nottingham, etc. So this is the first level of research you can find. Okay. Then you make back. And then, so there is some way in the site to go directly on research mode. So here we are on the research mode. So for RSPK, text search. So we have made the first. Now we can make a text search. And we can work directly on, I would say, for example, we can look at Enfield, for example. And so you can find directly the site of Enfield with the source, the data source. And if you want to have more detail on the case, you click on the little eye on the right, and you have more information, the city, detailed source, and you have the investigators who work on it. And you have the different characteristics. So when I say characteristics, so you have directly the different events that happen in this case. So you can small objects thrown, large objects, spontaneous breakage, bed close disturbing, levitation, communication, etc. So you have many information on this. You have also some commentary. So this is in French, depend of who has made the data. So if you populate the systems, you can make directly in your language. So there is one in French, in German, Italian, Spanish. So you can choose, and you can add some file to complement the descriptions. And if you want to go to, for example, Maurice Gross, you have directly the presentation of Maurice Gross with where it's coming from, and the source of the information, and for example, directly access to the Psy Encyclopedia information about him. Okay. So there is another kind of search, which is the multi-criteria search. So here you can search different level of things. You can for text, but you can period of time, countries, duration of the case, and the investigators who work on this. The level of testimonial, level of detail, eventually psychic agents, and features, so parameters. So if you want to have a specific parameters, you can directly choose to, I will look, yeah, for example, yeah. Yeah, for example, we can use here, if you look investigators, and you look at Darren Whitson. You could find all the cases which was done by, which are in the database, and we were investigated by Darren and Whitson. Okay, so we can find directly, for example, South Shield. So you have here the different parameters, so different kind of events which happened during this poltergeist event, this poltergeist case. And again, you have the detailed information for the other investigators, which was Michael Hallowell. You know that, for example, it was the duration was 18 months, and from December 2005 to summer 2006.
I mean, can I ask? I mean, so this is a very comprehensive website. I mean, how long has this process taken from when you initially started looking at those 500 reports to where you are now? How long has this taken to bring together to in its current form?
You know, it's a 5 years project, you know. I started 5 years ago.
Fantastic. I can only imagine the amount of resource this could provide investigators, this could provide academics with data of these particular cases. So how big is your team with this?
I work with one guy about the website development, and I work with one assistant about analyze books and case and so forth. And it's why we take 5 years to do that, you know. It's a big work.
I can imagine.
And myself, sorry. So, but we use also the work of others. We have written book and make some report, and so we were able to move from it. But in order to do that, yes, it's a big project. And at now the problem is that yes, for example, I have as mentioned, I have more than 400 cases waiting to be integrated. But I try to use AI to simplify the approach, for example, to detect automatically the parameters, but shamelessly, it don't work correctly. You know, there is many mistakes, so it's too dangerous. I have worked with different AI, so ChatGPT and Mistral AI in France, but the two, they have more than 40% of errors about extraction of parameters. So it's good I think, for the sum up. So we have case and we can make some resume of the case, so that this AI are very strong for make this, so make some summary. And I think it would be a good approach for the new case. But for the extraction of data and study of the analysis of the case, to say, yes, there is this parameter, there is not, there is fire, there is water, there is not, there is an agent. You know, we have to do that by hand. So it takes time. It takes time, yes, and some kind of dedication.
Of course, the limitation is what you can put in there. It's very interesting you mentioned about using AI, artificial intelligence, a way that effectively you could fire research to collect data. I mean, the thing is, a lot of data isn't digitized, is it? I mean, like, we know that the SPR has an archive going back 100 years plus, ASSAP has an archive going back 40 years or so, and the amount of organizations from before looking at UFOs or whatever, and the poltergeist cases that sit around like abduction experiences, I find really powerful. I mean, the fact that there's just not enough people digitizing data in order to pull information from. I spoke to Philip Mantle a couple of years ago. Of course, he's a prominent character in terms of archiving information in the UK, and he was very, very worried about, you know, where does the information go? It's currently in boxes collected over a period of time. If it's not digitized, so many accounts will get lost. And everyone who has these archives, potentially there's a race against time to make sure these databases end up online and then can be added to databases such as your own, such as Andy Guy, who was on here a few weeks ago, presenting a very similar format of a database where it can be accessed for information purposes. I mean, is it really that we need AI to start scanning documents in order for looking for stuff? But what would you propose is put out there into the paranormal community of the professional kind to start getting archives digitized? What would help?
I think currently each association tried to make some digitalization. I think that's the work of each. For example, Parapsychology Association, they work step by step to archive more and more things in the past. I think SPR, there is a sure big part. The problem also is that I will not give any name of country or road, but some to go to the archive is very strong. I am working for more than now 1 year to be able to have access to archive to some countries, to be able to have some case, and it's more a problem of administration than access directly on the document, So that's a problem too. Because people are not are benevolent, so there is not so much people working on the archive. So when you ask for information, people want to be sure that you will do something cool, and it takes time, and sometimes you can do it. So yeah, you're right. It's a real problem, and it's why I did that. I say first, at least we can use the data which is available. So the books, the articles, the papers, we are able to put the source. So there is the source in the database. And then maybe tomorrow, from the source of the database, we will be able to have access directly on the paper. But or today, it's copyright issue too. You can't extract directly information from books, and you can extract directly papers from SPR, for example. It's copyright issue. So it's why at start, I thinking maybe we can put that on the database. But finally, I'm discussing with Italian guy who provide us more than 250 cases. I said maybe it's better to focus on repository. So we give the case, we give the source, and then we'll see after. But at least you have something when you look at a case, you know where is information. So we have a different statistic directly on the site. You can have the number of cases per period per year, number of cases associated to the duration, and you can put some more parameters to say I want to see only the case which are with this level of testimonial, etc. So if you go directly here, you want to compare UK, for example, France, Germany, United States. So you can see directly, in fact, the number of cases for each countries in different period of time. So you see, for example, United Kingdom, there is a big move here because of some people working on this, in fact. In France, it was the same here. It was Commandant Tizane who was make a repository work. And so on. There is for United States, it was more about a role, the role work, William Chiro. And so you can directly see what's in the database, in fact. And you can choose if you want duration, following the duration of the case, if you want only the case which are less than 6 months, for example. You can directly see the same thing. So this is the case which have a duration of less than 6 months, and by countries. So you can do many things on that. Working with that, you can make many interesting results about how it's working about the poltergeist in the fact. And if you look to this, for example, so now we are looking about how the components or parameters are dependent of the duration of the case. So if we try to say to take only things, for example, appearance, we can take, for example, misty silhouette, all things that are look to more fantasies, apparition, haunting. Never mind. With that, it's okay. already do that. So this is a very important graphics because you see that if you look to the duration of the case, so here it's a case with less than 2 weeks. We say the number is in months, so 0.2 months. And here is a case with more than 36 months, so very long, 3 years. And you see that, in fact, apparitions, the more longer is the case, the more you have apparitions. So at some time, people say, yes, there is a cutting between haunting and poltergeist, and they try to define where there is the cut and to try to split. But in fact, you see that finally it's looking more than a cursor. Maybe it's the same kind of phenomenon. And when it's very short, there is less apparitions, but when it's longer, it's more apparition. And also, when it's longer, I don't have time to go through that with today, but you can see also that it's longer, it's more centered to a location. And when it's shorter, it's more centered on a peak agent, So this is all that you can find in the database directly. Okay, so that's an important point. So you say, yes, it's nice data, but how we know that it's really reliable, And so we have some information that we can have about that. If you look to the, investigations and fraud, trickery, you can see, we go directly on the site, so it will be better. And we are looking to the case where there is trickery, cheating, and the case where there is investigation. And we want to compare. So if there is more investigation, do we find more cheating? And what is interesting on this curve, so again, this is a period of time, okay? So we are in Middle Age and we are in 1976. The blue curve is the level of cheating detected. So we are always around 5%, 5 to 8%. And here is the investigation curve. So more and more cases are investigated. So people are making some more analysis of the case. And you can see that even if we move up, we increase the level of investigation, we didn't increase the level of cheating. So that's a good information that in fact, we have a level of cheatery, and we know that. And sometimes it's mixed with real case, in fact. But we can say that if we move up in investigations, this level of trickery is staggering. So, and the other things that we can say is that at all time distant people, because we see that on the map there is many different cases, and when we were in 1800 or 1900 centuries, people don't have internet, and so they can discuss together. So when you take a village in Polonia, for example, in Poland, and a village in UK, the people in these two villages are not discussing about what is poltergeist and if there is the same items. So why do they report the same thing? That's another important point about the reliability of the data we are there. So I will move quick on this part because we have many things. You can find on the site, if you are interested, that there is a way to make some correlation between parameters. So you say, for example, I want to see if when there is aggression, what are the other parameters that are coming up? Okay, so this is possible to do that directly on the site. I will finish by the map of localization. I think it's important for the use of people. You can directly go on the site and see the different place of the poltergeist, and it will go directly on the site. It will be more interesting. My site is here. So you just have to go there and to go on case localization map. Okay. I will take all. So you can select some features. So you want to only see the site where there is this kind of features. And so you have the map. in live on your PC or on your iPad or so forth. It works on a responsive mode. And if you want to move up to the UK, you can see all the keys. And if you want to click on one, you have the exact position, the year, the duration, and if you click on the detail, you can go directly. If you want it, okay, you can go directly on the detail of the case. Okay. Okay. And so, as I can say, you can, for example, select a typical features and see where there is, for example, only case where there is voice. And you can have the same map with only the case with voice and see directly where it is. Well, there is some mistake because we have to populate all the GPS coordinates of the site. So there is sometimes I find there is some Connecticut site where in UK, so that's some problem. But globally, it's working. Okay, so you can choose the period for the localization, the duration. If you want to some specific, for example, only the 6 to 9 months case, the level testimonials, so the cases are more credible, and you can choose some specific characteristics. So the next for the database, we will add some correlation matrix also between parameters, making a study with MATLAB to make some clustering about the case, so we'll be able to make some grouping, and we will increase the number of cases on Asia, South America, Africa, thanks to Paul Cropper. And globally for the site, we will develop the physical mediumship section. At currently, there is some good base, but there is more information to be filled in. And we will start to fill the information about experimentation, the description story, people involved. In fact, what we want really to do with this site is also to try to put some evidence. So if we have some kind of video, if we have some kind of capture screen, so people can really know what's really happening. And after they can go on the source and check the source, etc. And the last part will be the theory, because I think that we will have to go to the fact first and then go to the theory. Okay, so I will stop there because I think that we have 1 hour half. So I think it's okay to stop.
Eric, thank you very much for an exceptional view around your website and the possibilities of how people can get data together. I think that will provide a fantastic resource for a lot of people. I'm sure the people who've stayed to watch that saw obviously how the map looked in regards to certainly those poltergeist cases. I mean, that whole blue swath of blue pins there, that's very remarkable, because some people would say that poltergeist cases are relatively rare. You know, we saw that map there, and there must have been, well, I don't know, a large number. So I would really look forward to getting and digging down into those case files that you have on there.
I think, yes, about in UK, it's about 300 cases on the database. And we have about, in UK, it's about 1.4, it was about 1.4 cases per year. And it's called about one case per year. So if we go back to one number of cases per year, it's not so much, in fact.
Thank you very much, Eric. And it was nice to be included in your talk as well, from the bits and pieces that I offered last week for the unacademic side of poltergeists. It's why was the Enfield case for poltergeists used for research? Because not a lot of the stuff's been proven to be correct or factual.
Enfield case.
This is not my wording. This is somebody else's.
Okay. Okay, fine. I think it's important question because it's open on a big debate. I think the idea of the database is to collect facts reported by people. If you look, and I really work with, and we have a team in France also working on different cases, and we work on the case Enfield. On my side, clearly, Enfield, there is many information which are very important and which are very verified. And I think that if you look in detail in the case, you can't just put it in the trash, you know. And so it's why Enfield is in the database. And after we report what we give the source, so people can read the book of people who have written about Enfield, can read the papers, the people which are okay for it, the people which are against it, and they make their own mind. We don't have the, I would say we don't pretend to have the answer to all and say this case is good, this case is not good. Okay, we just can give information, and people have this information are good, and this information don't think it's good. Okay, and so people have to make their own mind about it, and it's a problem with many cases. You know, if we look to Wikipedia, you will not find any case about Poltergeist. I think it's why there is Psy Encyclopedia. We try to have some sites which are more open to things and not a bunch of only skeptical people who just crash all things. So I don't know if I answer exactly the questions, but
yes, you did. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I liken it, when you have a case that's given to you, it's like being a police officer or a detective. So you're given the facts of what's assumed to be the truth, and it's up to you to record and report and investigate at some point if it's down to the individual to investigate that one. So yes, I agree, recording all alleged activity is incredibly important because, you know, it's not for us to disprove unless we're the people that are carrying out the investigation itself. So yes, totally get that. Thank you very much.
And also to add a comment on it, the only things where we put ourselves in it is when we graded the testimonial level and the detail level of the case. So in this, okay, this is our decision because we know the data, and we say, yeah, for example, this case is a 7 case, so high testimonial. But because in the fact there is many people coming back and say, yeah, if we have 17 people saying the same thing, it's good of testimonial, you know. So yeah, so it's a decision on this. And also another point which is important, that as soon as you think that there is so much case that at least there is some real phenomena behind, the important thing is that some low-level case, for example, about testimonial and detail, sometimes bring some very interesting information about the physical phenomena. And because we know that we see the same phenomena in so bigger case, we are interested to study in detail, even if this case is not very strong about testimony.